The Habits of Mind were my first great passion in education. I've been working with them now for over 25 years, first in my classroom and then with schools around the world. And I've had the great pleasure and privilege to work closely with Art Costa and Bennett Kalick, as well as schools that are part of the International Habits of Mind community, where we've seen enormous impact on student learning and on the culture of schools. And that's what I want to share with you in this resource, Succeeding with Habits of Mind. We've seen schools that have doubled the number of students in the upper growth band for literacy in just 3 years of working with Habits of Mind. We've seen other schools that worked with the Habits of Mind for 5 years that saw their best Year 12 results in decades and attributed it to the work they'd done with those students as they'd moved through the secondary years of schooling around Habits of Mind. And we've seen schools like Waikiki Elementary School blossom into a blue ribbon school in the United States based on the way they infused Habits of Mind into the very culture of their school. And what I want to share with you in this resource is how to get those sorts of results. Because while schools pick up the Habits of Mind and teachers look at them and we're naturally drawn to them, and why wouldn't we be? What Art Costa and Bennett Kalick did was to identify the dispositions of characteristically successful people, people that were at the top of their game, as they engaged in problems, the solutions to which weren't immediately apparent. As the best were in the business of getting better, Art Costa and Bennett Kalick identified the behaviours they engaged in. And they're sharing those with us. And I think that's a huge gift they've given us. But teachers, when we look at those Habits of Mind for the first time, we go, they're wonderful, let's do this. And the doing of it turns out to be more difficult than perhaps we first thought. The most natural thing to do in the beginning is to just teach the Habits of Mind. And schools around the world have done this, and it's a necessary starting point. But when we just teach the Habits of Mind as if they're a topic, the actual impact on student learning is relatively low. The next sort of level that schools go to is to use the Habits of Mind as a common language through the school. And we talk about hearing the Habits of Mind, seeing them on the walls, using them to describe the learning process and the sorts of behaviours we want students to engage in. And it feels great, like it feels really exciting when students start using this language. But after a period of time, what sort of happens is that we're just using different words to describe the same things that students were doing. And the actual impact on student learning, although it's there, is not as great as it could be. The next level schools go to is this idea of requiring the Habits of Mind. We use the language that we've built to tell students, you need to persist. I want you to think interdependently. And we describe and require those behaviours of students. And this is where the tipping point happens. This is where the critical change between schools that have an all right outcome with Habits of Mind and those that really thrive starts to change. And that's the difference between the word use the Habits of Mind and the word improve. And when the Habits of Mind become more than a tool to use, but they become a learning outcome to be developed. We're not here to use our Habits of Mind, we're here to improve, to extend, to build, to mature. Once we can take that idea of getting better at the Habits of Mind, we see some real changes starting to happen in student learning outcomes. The next level up is where we nourish the Habits of Mind. We put in place structures around the students, around the school, in our culture that help schools and help teachers develop those Habits of Mind in a very deliberate way. And ultimately, in schools like Waikiki and other international Habits of Mind learning communities of excellence, we see the Habits of Mind lived throughout the school community, not just in the students, but in the teachers, the leadership, the parent community, and indeed the wider community around them. And that's when the magic really happens. And in this resource, Succeeding with Habits of Mind, I'm going to take you through how to move through this ladder and get some really exciting and powerful outcomes for your students and for your school and your broader school community. Now, if you're taking one of the individual pathways into this course, where you're looking at the self-paced learning or the learning where I coach you through, or if you're coming to one of the face-to-face workshops, I'll give you everything you need to succeed with Habits of Mind in your classroom. But where we really get traction with the Habits of Mind is when we take a whole school approach. And if you're joining one of the whole school approaches, details down below, you'll not only get access to all the classroom resources, you'll also get access to interviews with schools that have succeeded with Habits of Mind, their leadership teams talking about the Habits of Mind and how they went about implementing them. You'll listen to interviews with Art Costa and Bennett Kalick, and you'll receive a whole bunch of resources that are detailed below to set you on that path to whole school implementation of Habits of Mind. It's really exciting. The resources we've been able to gather over the last 25 years and the last 5 or 10 in particular, as schools have really got to understand what this is all about, it's such a privilege to be able to share these with you. And perhaps the thing I'm most excited about is the opportunity to share with you the Habits of Mind profiling tool. The Habits of Mind profile tool gives you the power to take a snapshot of your students, your teachers, your school community's habits of mind, to get a sense of how well developed their habits of mind are and what you need to do to guide those students, guide those teachers in developing those habits of mind even further. This Habits of Mind profile tool is a game changer, and I'm so excited about it. I recently spoke to Art Costa and Bennett Kalick about our hopes and our direction around this profile tool, and there's a little video down below where we talk about it. You're going to hear a lot more about that. I encourage you, the Habits of Mind are such a powerful tool to join in the Succeeding with Habits of Mind, not just a course, this whole resource that's going to support you in implementing Habits of Mind, not just in your classroom, but in your whole school. If you'd like to know more, send me an email, fill out the form, or if you're ready to jump on board straight away, click on the link and let's get started, because I'm so excited about working with teachers and schools around succeeding with Habits of Mind in your school. I look forward to doing the work with you.